Greetings to everybody out there in fly tying world. How is your day? Ours is pretty good here at Spawn. I'm Pete, and I'm getting ready to whip up a little bug here. So let's get to it. In the vise, you see I've got a jig hook, and this is the Ahrex FW555, size 10. For the bead, going pretty small here today. Got the slotted tungsten football bead from Spawn, size 5.5 millimeter in black. And then to hold that bead in place, I got some wraps of lead-free 0.020 wire. So let's get some 6/0 thread here started in black. 140D would be great, whatever you got handy. Of course, if you're going to tie this fly in different colors than what I do today, by all means, change the color of your thread to match. Or don't. It's up to you. Kind of the point of today's fly. This is all up to you. Every fly is up to you. Just sometimes we need a reminder. So I've been tying a lot of coho stuff, bigger leeches lately, and I'm a fan. It's a lot of what we fish is, got to get on the water quickly. Might not always have time for that 3-4 hour fly. Even though I do enjoy those, sometimes this is practical. So all we're doing is taking that big salmon mentality of a leech and just making it small, right? So we've got this micro version of what will become a bunny leech, specifically an egg sucking bunny leech. So this is for everybody who watches maybe some of our coho videos and goes, well, I don't fish for salmon, I don't fish for coho, all that. Does it really apply? Yeah, it's the same fly. We're just going to make it small, and then you can go out and chase trout. You can go catch panfish, whatever you want to do, right? There are no rules. It's just this is up for interpretation. I'm just going to show you the basis, and then you take it and make it yours. So for the tail, I've got a micro strip of rabbit, and this is black, and I have trimmed the leather so that when I tie this in, of course, jig hook, right? So I want this thing to sit like so with the leather facing up for now. So all I'm looking for is a little bit past a hook length of fur there for the tail. Trim out a clean spot for a tie-in and get that leather really well strapped down like so. This is a very simple fly. You've seen it before, maybe not this size, however, easy to translate, right? And that's all we're going for here is how do I take a bunny leech and make it apply to what I'm trying to do? And so this is for smaller water. This is for trout, different things like that, where I don't need a big fly or maybe picky fish, right? A lot of times going down a size is the key. All right, enough yapping. Here's some Polish chenille in red. I'm not going to make it real cute for that tie-in or any of that. I'm just going to get it tied in. Polar chenille, very unique material in that if you do accidentally tie in a little bit too much, you see where it went? It's gone, right? It just disappears. So we don't need a ton of flash here. Again, this is a micro leech, right? Tiny. So keep that in mind. Just gonna make a few wraps here, and let's undo that. Did you see that? That chenille separated just a touch right there and tried to catch my rabbit. I don't want that. All right, this is way better. And now let's bring all these fibers back as much as we can, shorten up our working thread, and then bring that back. And now I can tie it off. Right there. And just a couple good solid wraps of thread. Get it out of the way. Trim out the piece you don't need anymore. And now all you're left with are these little tendrils of red flash coming back. Grab those, bring them all the way back. And we don't want a big gap here between the tail and our body. So again, this is what I'm talking about with a material that you can compress a little bit. Take advantage, get it compressed. Now guess what? Everything's flowing over that tail, flowing back nicely. And that's exactly what we want. All right, so let's come back on right there and start a loop. Nothing crazy, but keep in mind, if we were tying a regular bunny leech and we tried to wrap a piece with leather still attached, this would quickly become a pointless fly because we'd eat up all that space here in that hook gap, right? Because that leather, it's not like the leather adds a dimension here. It's all the way around. It's a 360 add. with that dimension of leather or thickness. We don't want that. All right, so now let's get this loop completely open. And all I've got here is a section of crosscut rabbit, and this is a black strip. And this is probably 1.25 inches. Slip that on in there. I've got my spinner. I'm gonna get that set into my loop and then close down. And so this is what I'm left with. I can, of course, adjust this a little bit if I want that hair a little longer. Pull it the other way if you want a little shorter. And then carefully, just come in with your scissor and trim out that leather. Nothing to it. So now here I'm left with a nice chunk or strip, if you will, of just rabbit fur. And now all I have to do is spin. So let's get this spun up. We will brush this out, right? Because we always brush out our loops. At least when we remember. Hopefully all the time. But all right. And there we go. There's our body. And let's have at it. Start wrapping forward. Now this will not, in theory, get right to behind the bead. It'll be close, but we don't want to eat up all that space exactly. We want a little bit of room left when we finish this, and you'll see why. There we go. Get some of that out of there. And tie down this loop. All right, so tool's out. Loop is completely tied in, and now we can trim out that tag and the thread, and voila. All right, so right here, let's go ahead and get some water on my fingertips and brush this back. So there's the leech, but you see that gap there behind the bead? Well, I told you we were tying an egg sucker. So let's get the egg going. Now, here we have something fun. Tiny little spot here. We can't go with a big egg, right? We just need something little. But again, in the sake of tying a dozen at a time, getting a bunch of bugs ready, this is the easy way. So Micro Flex Squishenille, and this is fluorescent orange. Bunch of different sizes, and by all means, every once in a while you got to make life a little bit simpler on yourself, and this is, I think, one of those products that does just that. So get that tied in nice and snug all the way back, and then simply take a few wraps of this good stuff and fill in that little gap here, and voila, there is our egg, right? So especially in the world of trout, these aren't big eggs. You know, this isn't what you would be using for like steelhead egg or any of that. This is for trout, and so that egg can be pretty small and will do an excellent job of replicating a small trout egg. So now that we've got that all tied in, it's simply a matter of cleaning up that little neck area and getting a good whip finish in there. So for all of you who thought, man, I wish I could tie some leeches, but I don't fish for coho, I'm looking for trout. Well, 100%, this is the fly you've been waiting for. So let me trim this out. Let's go ahead and throw some head cement in here, get those thread wraps all covered up. And then, since you guys are always so nice and so enthused about this fly tying deal, I'm going to go ahead and get this fly wet. We'll put it back in the vise so you can see what it's going to look like. And again, keep in mind, this is simply one color variation here. You know, I like to fish a lot of purple leeches. Black, of course, is great. Dark brown. I'll get squirrely and throw some reds in there if I'm fishing for sea run cutthroat. Of course, one of our favorite colors here in the shop is peach, and we are not afraid to throw some of those. So there's a messed up version of it, right? And with the magic of some water here in a little Tupperware dish, let's get that wet and pop that back in the vise for you guys. And that is about the cutest little egg stealing or egg sucking leech you'll ever see right there. So micro leech with a little egg in the front. Hold on tight and get the net ready, folks. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, by all means, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and we will see all of you on the water.